Now, I'm joined today by Grant Blackley, the CEO of Southern Cross Austereo and the chairman of Commercial Radio Australia, the industry body here in Australia. Grant is very well qualified to speak about some of the topics we're doing today, all of the topics, because he operates one of the biggest radio networks with 88 radio stations. He has metropolitan stations, regional radio stations, as well as a number of regional TV stations. Grant is also one of the first and most successful proponents of how to use DAB successfully in this country to grow your audience and grow your revenue. So we're very lucky to have him here today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this
Pleasure.
WorldDAB session. Now, I'll just ask you a few questions, Grant, and you can, answer as you see fit. And I'm sure everything you have to say for this audience will be incredibly interesting. We will have an audience of people from commercial radio and public service radio from around the world, across Europe and Asia. So given that Australia is one of the leading and most complex radio markets, and of course you lead one of the most complex and successful media companies, a lot of what you have to say will be of great interest to our audience. So to start, let's talk about DAB+, because that's what we're here to talk about. We're at a WorldDAB session. So why is DAB digital radio one of the priorities for Southern Cross Austereo, and why should it be a priority for other broadcasters?
To put it in perspective, we're big landholders of FM spectrum and AM spectrum, but more FM spectrum. We also own 50% of the available spectrum on a commercial level for DAB. And DAB is just another channel to market, and it's complementary to FM, as well as being complementary in the future and present to live streaming as well. So DAB is vitally important because it's in cars, it's another channel to market, it's reinforcement of our FM heritage brands, and most importantly, DAB offers certain qualities that FM can't offer. And one of those qualities is crystal clear listening, the availability of it in new cars and new devices like smart speakers and related. So I think it's part of the ecosystem that we have to embrace, because it does extend radio from where it is at this point in time. It gives consumers another choice to activate and engage with radio at nearly a place and a time and a device of their choice. So it's not better than FM or lesser than FM. It's a part of the ecosystem of audio listening, of which we obviously play extensively in.
And something we're often asked, as you know, I'm on the World DAB steering board, and something we're often asked by broadcasters who are considering, particularly commercial broadcasters, considering DAB, is there an ROI? What is the ROI and how do I find that? Is there a particular business model that I should look at that will actually help the return on investment? Because it is an investment and a cost up front until you build your audience.
Yeah, I think you can look at this in a number of ways. From a content and marketing perspective, what it does do is the ability of DAB to cut up that spectrum and create multiple new brands to market. And the position that we've adopted is primarily that we have two principal signals. And that one signal is male orientated, one signal is female orientated. With DAB, what we've elected to do is split that into another 10 streams and effectively create sub-brands that actually improve the listening and provide consumer choice to, say, the male brand. So we wouldn't on FM go to a FM dedicated country music station, but we can on DAB. So it has the values and the virtues of the FM brand, but it takes it into a subset that is highly appealing to a very loyal, engaged audience of country music listeners. Now, we also have one for hard and heavy. And to that end, again, we wouldn't do that because it would be commercially unsuccessful in an FM slot, but there is a loyalty there within that group that want that. So it allows us to play in an area that we normally wouldn't play. The key point here is that FM plus DAB is more. So it offers more choice, it offers greater targeting down to consumer level. And then what we have to do is work out the economic or structural.
Going to be my next question.
That's the vital piece. So having choice for choice's sake is one thing. The reinforcement of the primary brand and breaking it up into a multitude of different targeted offerings that are appealing is also another attribute. But the key issue is, how do you monetize it? So we've adopted what we call the digital stack, and we've put plumbing in place, which effectively says if you buy a spot on our FM parent company of, say, that male brand, and you buy that at a point in time, call it breakfast on a Monday, it will flow through simultaneously into the breakfast of each of those other 5 stations that are an attribute of that ecosystem. So what the buyer sees is a level of simplicity. I buy one spot and get 5 impressions. And effectively what they also see is increased reach. So you're now not selling just the reach of FM. You're selling the reach of FM plus DAB. And, what I charge our teams with is if we are selling more audience and greater reach, fundamentally we have to charge more. So that becomes an industry, issue as opposed to a buyer's issue. The buyer, of course, will turn around and say, thanks very much, I'll take the incremental reach, but I don't want to pay you anymore. So it's up to the seller to reinforce it. So we're in a position where we're getting around 8 to 10% more listening because of this. So we aim to put our rates up by 8 to 10%. And that still gives a negative media inflation or a zero media inflation, even putting it up by 8 to 10%. So it's really important to put the plumbing together to get the right economics out the back. Putting more stations, populating it with more ads just floods the market with more inventory and potentially puts downward pressure on the economics. The digital stack does completely the opposite. It controls supply and therefore limits supply. And by limiting supply but broadening reach, it creates value.
So that's a clear message. There is money to be made from strategically implementing DAB Plus as part of your suite of tools.
No question. Can I also say at this point that the investment we make into those stations and those brands, we also now simulcast those in a live streaming capacity. And that's creating a third part of the ecosystem. So you've got FM, you've got DAB, now you've got a live streaming. So for any IP-enabled device that mightn't be within the same geography that we have DAB towers and or receivers, we can then do this on an Australia-wide basis. So we are pushing DAB to those geographies where the government have supported us and the industry have put up transmitters. And in the areas we don't, we actually have it through Radio App, the industry app here in Australia that actually allows anyone to listen at any point in time on an IP-enabled device. So it's actually, that's a secondary economic benefit that we've already created it, and we're now extending it across live streaming as well.
Yeah, so it's important to think of it strategically, not just as an either or at the moment for AM
Totally.
and FM. And just, I think we've only got a few minutes left. So just generally, including DAB+, what do you see as the major issues for radio broadcasters around the world, probably in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think we try to work very much as an industry and think of it not as just ourselves and a contribution, but more importantly as an industry. And I think for radio, we have to understand that the ecosystem is changing. We have to embrace that technological change. We also have to be in a position where we invest in content. And investing more in content and creating a centre of excellence in content means that we are a valuable commodity to more consumers. I personally think, and there's enough data supporting it, that that audio is growing, and it's growing across the board. And radio has a unique attribute. It's called, traffic, sport, localism, connection. I often say if you're driving past someone and they're smiling, they're probably listening to radio. They're probably not listening to a music playlist. Because there's that level of connection, community, localism, and we provide things that others can't do. So being able to do that on FM, across AM, across DAB, and then extend it into live streaming, I think what we're doing is we understand listening is going up. We have to capture that. We have to measure that. And I think that's a real challenge for every industry in audio around the world. How do you accurately measure that in real time and create more granular targeted data? And one thing we haven't talked about is creating up addressable targeting streams of revenue. Rather than a one-to-many FM model, with addressable audiences and that IP audience I talked about, fundamentally we can replace those ads and target those ads to certain subgroups that actually should be sold at a premium because it is more targeted, there is less wastage, and fundamentally that money should come from that digital pot, not from the radio pot, but from the digital pot. And the digital pot is bigger globally and locally than the radio pot. So we have an enormous amount of opportunity. So we have to build it, we have to deploy it well, it has to be sustainable. We have to strategically have a good economic argument as to why we're investing. And then we have to measure it, and then we have to sell it well. And if we do that, I think the tide will rise and all things audio will be good.
Thank you, Grant. That's been very enlightening. I think our audience will have learnt a lot just from hearing you for these few minutes. And I guess the message is you need to do everything. You can't pick and choose. You need to keep your AM and FM strong. You need to have the choice of stations and content with DAB+, and you need to be playing in the digital space. But measurement is another key issue for all radio broadcasters. We know that around the world. Thank you very much, Grant Blackley.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.